Hello and welcome along to round 2 of the British Truck Racing Championship 2018. Following the opening races earlier in the month at Brands Hatch, the Gladiators have travelled west to the Welsh Motorsport Centre here at Pembrey. The VARC's pristine yet challenging 1.4 mile circuit awaits a full complement of race trucks. It's a lineup that includes 4 former British champions who between them have virtually dominated the championship all the way back to 1999. Racing is key, but qualifying gets the taste buds tingling, and here are the times. Ryan Smith quickest in Division 1 from David Jenkins and Stuart Oliver with Matt Summerfield in 4th Division 2, headed by Simon Cole from Luke Garrett, John Bowler and John Powell.
Jamie, great to see you here for the 2018 campaign. We saw you here at Pembrey last year, but you're here for every round?
Yeah, that's it. So competing the full championship this year. Had a bit of a taster last year at Pembrey here and then couldn't stop after that.
Now we saw you at round 1, Brands Hatch, which was eventful to say the least. Bit of a baptism of fire for you.
Yeah, it was. You know, we had a big off on the actual Sunday, but hey-oh, it didn't stop us, just kept us working at night late on and then got it out on the Monday and still carry on with the points.
You're in amongst the mix. You're not exactly holding back, I noticed, with these races.
No, definitely not. You know, at the end of the day, if I wanted to sit here, then I'll stay at home. But as a general, we're here to try and prove what we can do, and that's what we're trying to do. On the first year we're here, I think we're setting it above the rest, and we're trying to show that we can actually play at the top where we need to.
Now, traditionally you go pretty well here. Going back to Brands Hatch just briefly, you had a bit of a mishap on that last race. What happened?
That's right, yeah, it was unfortunate. Time was short between the races, so you know we got the truck ready as best we could. Went out from the second row at the front. You know, in the first lap, I got myself in the lead. Came round to the start of the second lap and came to the top of Paddock Hill Bend, pressed the brake pedal, and there was momentarily a break, and then there was just a hiss of air, and the brakes released, and I had to sort of go wide on Paddock Hill to sort of snow plough the tyres together rather than go straight into the Armco. So it was a quick and sudden stop.
So we're back on form. How did you do in qualifying?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was good. You know, we're getting there. There's a few teething things. We're changing, get it back to how it should be. But it's settling in. So you know, quite happy and qualified in 3rd there. So you know, we'll see what happens in the race.
Ready for the restart of race number 1. Sadly, we've lost Martin Gibson after coming together with Ricky Collett first time out. There is Collett at the back of the field in yellow. Here's the grid. Smith and Jenkins on the front, Oliver and Summerfield, then Anderson and Taylor, Reed and Gibson, Ricky Collett in 9th. Martin Gibson not taking to the restart, but hopefully will be out in the GT Tyres truck a little bit later on. We are truck racing here at Pembrey, and it's Ryan Smith that makes a great start. David Jenkins slots into 2nd, Stuart Oliver 3rd. Here comes the boy in blue, the HRVS liveried Matt Summerfield truck round the outside line. And how they don't cause problems for each other at the hairpin more often than they actually do, I do not know. Superb driving standards here in race number 1. This half the entry, of course, because we've got Division 2 trucks separate, but a good mix of trucks here. And this, in essence, you've got to say, generally the race where perhaps the least damage or action can be expected to happen, because this is the only race you'll see for Division 1 all weekend where the fastest drivers start off the front, because they have to qualify for this. There's Jamie Anderson that Barry was talking to at the start of the programme, nibbling away there at Matt Summerfield in 84. So it is the fastest driver off the front. Ryan Smith, championship leader, but the subsequent races, wherever you finish in the race, if you finish at the front, you start at the back. So it's a reverse grid for the remaining races, and you have to keep working right the way through the meeting. Working now is David Jenkins, and David chasing hard in 2nd place at the moment. Jenkins joint 2nd in the standings with Stuart Oliver after Brands Hatch. Side by side here, Anderson coming through, side by side with Matt Summerfield in 84. Matt not wanting to give him room, but that's clean racing between the pair of them at the moment, and Anderson still trying to nose his way through on the inside. Oliver 3rd, we're watching the battle for 4th. Anderson gets a bit of opposite lock, and as a result, Summerfield forced out wide, so Anderson through. Now we've got Simon Reed joining, Luke Taylor as well in red behind them. The Iveco running well, immediately in front of us now. This is Luke Taylor. So Luke in the 79, the truck known as King Klaus, the Oldham racer, busy chasing Simon Reed, who comes from Stoke-on-Trent. Ricky Collett, Halifax man in his MAN TGX, bringing up the rear at the moment, trying to get some points. We'll see Ricky, if he finishes this race last, he'll start in the front row for race number 2. You get a good inset shot there, bottom left of Rick Collett in the rear view, just trying to close up, but that damage from the original start might potentially have compromised Ricky Collett's run in this race. But no problems at all for Ryan Smith, but a fastest flying lap there for Dave Jenkins. Jenkins 61.361 seconds, so fastest lap Jenkins. He's closing in on the race leader is Jenkins. He's got some pace here, the digraph machine. He's starting to close in on the championship leader Ryan Smith. Now can he have a go? He's got to be mindful of Stuart Oliver behind, and he's looking at the inside run here. Jenkins looking to challenge for the lead. It's the inside on this corner, but we've got a right-hander coming up, which means he's got to stick on the outside line, but now Stuart Oliver sees that Jenkins is hung on the outside line and goes through. Oliver read that very well indeed, up into second place. David Jenkins, for his part, as they come into the hairpin, had to go for the lead. He had to have a chase. He was being chased hard by truck number 7, Stuart Oliver. The Volvo up into second place was putting the pressure on Jenkins, and David made a move on the inside, couldn't quite get the momentum to hang on to the outside of the next corner, and he's down to third place, but with that fastest lap on the previous tour, so should have the momentum to close down on those two, or put the pressure on those two again. Good battle between Taylor and Simon Reed, 6th and 7th place. Richard Collett not really in touch with those at the moment. Stuart Oliver still there in second place, and now David Jenkins coming under pressure from Jamie Anderson, a man from Colville in the Anderson Race Sport MAN, getting close but thinks about his line here, but now dives to the inside of David Jenkins, who looks like he has got a problem, does not look happy at all. Still, nobody bettered his lap on lap 3, so Jenkins still there, but now down into 4th position. Ricky Collett still in 8th. Collett, immaculate truck, so many great machines that we've got as King Klaus 79, Luke Taylor goes through. There is Collett in 8th position. And remember, we'll see mixed grids with the Division 2 boys a little bit later on. Stuart Oliver still in 2nd. It was interesting to hear that story about the problems he had at Brands Hatch, but still winds up 2nd in the championship standings coming into this race as Ryan Smith goes on to the last lap. Anderson piling the pressure on Stuart Oliver at the moment. He's looking well handy. There is Simon Reed still in 6th place in the Guest Sherwood 89 Iveco, running well. Seems to have dropped Luke Taylor a little bit at the moment. You can see the view from Luke's truck coming through Honda. Final turn on that lap. About a quarter of a lap ahead at the moment of the race leaders. Can Jamie Anderson get further up onto the podium? Anderson's best result at Brands was a brace of 4th positions in races 4 and 5, and he's going to better that here, but it's Ryan Smith who will extend the championship lead by the look of it. Stuart Oliver will consolidate 2nd place in the championship. He'll pull a couple of points clear of David Jenkins. Matt Summerfield still 4th in the standings, then Jamie Anderson, who's going to make a little bit of ground here on Matt Summerfield in the table, but I guess we probably need to look at that towards the end of the meeting rather than the beginning. The drivers will be doing the maths, certainly their teams will as well. Ideal conditions here, and making the most of those conditions. Ryan Smith, who heads down towards the checkered flag. Ryan Smith wins another one, salutes the start-finish line with the win. Smith the winner. 2nd place goes to Stuart Oliver from Jamie Anderson. Then it was David Jenkins, Matt Summerfield 5th from Simon Reed, Luke Taylor, Ricky Collett. Fastest lap, David Jenkins.
Really disappointed with that race. Got huge problems with the truck. You know, I was the balance and the braking, just locking up, pushing on, splitter, missing gear. When Dave had a go at me round the back, I was in neutral for 15 seconds, and we'll reassess that, and we won't be that slow tomorrow.
How's nip and tuck in the early stages?
It was, yeah. It was a pity it was a red flag. I was away. You know, I was comfortable, and you know, this. I don't know what happened, Ryan. He just slipped wide. I didn't touch him, that was for sure. And he slipped wide on the first turn, and I got through, and I was away. I thought I would go, and then the red flag came. But yeah, it was a good race. Plenty of excitement where I was, but I couldn't believe how many laps it was. I was thinking surely the board's going to come out. It was going to come out, but it never appeared. But it eventually appeared anyway, should I say? And yeah, it was all right. I'm happy with that.
Well, that went well.
Yeah, no, that was a good drive. You know, we thought we had a bit of a problem at the start. and then we come off at 5th and we did well. You know, we're catching time out of them, and I think we had a few more laps and I could have had a good go with Stuart.
Always great to see a new driver on the grid. Craig Reed, welcome to the BTRA series.
Thank you. Yeah. I've decided to build a truck in about 3 months, to be honest with you. So I've been mechanicking my brother for I think 5 years now, and I rebuilt his truck and we managed to win the championship. So I sort of know how it all works. And I think it was about 2 years ago I had the idea of building one, but we had to develop my brother's truck and stuff, as you do. I had some amazing sponsors off Sherwood's and Guest and Moist Lubricants, and they've really helped me out to put what's behind me here like.
Great to welcome Craig to the grid, which is headed by Simon Cole from Luke Garrett, then the two Johns, Bowler and Powell, Brad Smith and Adam Bint next from Andy Lovenbury and Craig Reed, Tim Woolley and Steve Powell completing the grid for the first of our Division 2 races. Championship leader Luke Garrett on the outside of the front row in the 42 truck. MAN, he is racing with the Mercedes of Simon Cole on the inside, and it's the Beast Mark II, Simon Cole, that leads them down into the hairpin. Bit of a squeeze between the two Johns for second position. Just watching them nervously going through the hairpin. They do a super job, just as well as the Division 1 runners. John Powell is up into third round the outside line of John Bowler, and then it's Brad Smith in 5th place on this opening lap. But Simon Cole, the early leader from Luke Garrett and John Powell. Simon Cole, the race leader, then it's Luke Garrett playing a little bit of cat and mouse there with John Powell in third, and Powell well clear at this early stage of the 4th position truck, which is John Bowler. Behind John we've got Brad Smith. Following Brad Smith we've got Andy Lovenbury in the Renault Premium. Across the line they go on to lap number 2, and it's Simon Cole looking very good out front at the moment, coming down into the hairpin. Or well, I say looking good, but the back end swings around. Can he collect it up? Is anybody going to hit him? Lovenbury goes to the outside line. Craig Reed on the inside line. And my worry there, as bad as that looked, and indeed as bad as it was for Simon Cole, that could have been a lot worse because he wasn't collected by anybody. But he's going to have to drive his socks off now to make ground through the field. There is Craig Reed having a very good truck debut. Craig starting off 8th position out of the 10 starters. Craig with no truck racing experience at all. In terms of racing, as you heard, he has got experience of the engineering side of things, as John Powell goes through into the lead, and that's a problem surely for Luke Garrett, the championship leader. Is it going to be the first DNF of the year? Because up into the lead goes John Powell, looking for his second race win of the year. One at Brands Hatch, and John Powell goes through into lead position here at Pembrey, out of Honda, a clear lead. Now Garrett's truck seems to have come back to him, but he's under pressure from number 14, John Bowler. There is Adam Bint, the former champion. Binty not looking at all happy in the early stages of the season, but we've got a long way to go. 5 races by and large at each meeting. There is Brad Smith now challenging John Bowler on the outside, coming through and going loco on the inside is Simon Cole in the Beast Mark II, trying to recover. Makes it past Brad Smith, so gets past Brad, but Brad getting stuck in again, having a little nibble, trying to get the position back. There is Tim Woolley, the newcomer to the championship, the man from Cardigan, moving from motorbike racing into trucks. Big difference in terms of the size and weight of the kit, but he was looking for something else to do. Great to welcome him to the championship. This effectively is home track as he comes from Cardigan. Simon Cole trying to work his way up the order. So this is damage limitation from Cole now, and how far up the field can he get? That's the question. Didn't lose that much ground really thinking about it, and pops a move here inside line on John Bowler, who has seen him. Yes, still going to have a race. Bowler in fact ends up on the grass, will lose a lot of momentum. Through goes Brad Smith. Bowler bounces his way back onto circuit at Honda corner. race leaders through. We've got to change for the lead again because Luke Garrett comes back. Luke Garrett, whatever that was, whether he missed a gear or not, I don't know, but Garrett's back in the lead. So Luke Garrett, the new race leader, and John Powell down to second. And here comes, I tell you what, the 41 truck, the Dartford man, Simon Cole, could still be within a shout of winning this race despite that gyration earlier on. Cole's coming through well. There in 68 is Craig Reed, who's having a fantastic debut here, marking himself out like his brother Simon as one to watch in this championship. So through they go, still John Powell in second place, and Garrett will be happy that he's got Powell effectively as the buffer between himself and Simon Cole, but Simon is on an absolute mission. Did you see the track language or body language of the truck there as it went into the corner? Dips out now, draws level, powers his way past John Powell and makes second place. Superb stuff as they head along Speedway Straight into Honda Corner. Simon Cole into second place. He's got the fastest lap of the race as well, 1:15.528. Out onto the last lap goes Luke Garrett, the championship leader. Simon Cole is going to get close to second position in the table here. We'll have to do the maths afterwards. But they've still got the best part of a mile to go. John Powell in third, on the brakes, out of the hairpin now, accelerating through Spitfires and then DeBenny corner. Look at the lean on the truck, running well here, Simon Cole. This has been a very good recovery drive from him. Lap 8 was his best, fastest lap, the fastest lap of the race. John Bowler there in sixth position. Adam Bint down behind him as well. So Binty's not going to score a shed load of points here. This is second and third. Race leader Luke Garrett, 4 seconds clear of this pair. And Simon Cole not under any pressure, so it's going to be a stroll home for him for second place and get that truck on the podium. So it's MAN, Mercedes MAN, DAF in fourth place, win for Luke Garrett. Again, championship leader wins. Simon Cole second. Here comes John Powell, who's going to take third place. And that's how they finished, with Brad Smith in fourth, Craig Reed fifth from John Bowler, Tim Woolley, Adam Bint completing the finishers in eighth.
So fastest in qualifying and a fantastic race as well.
Yeah, not too bad. I messed it up there. We put new brakes on it after qualifying because we noticed a slight airline crack. And in these trucks, you've got to bed them in for a couple of laps. So
Is that what happened on the first lap?
that's why I spun it. Yeah, I've had no brakes and then I've had to put it down the gearbox to get the back to come round. So I made it hard work for myself to get second there, but it's going well, the truck.
John, what a fantastic race.
Yeah, really good race. To be fair, I didn't think we was going to keep up with them, but new set of tyres on. It goes well round here. I enjoyed the track actually. So we just haven't quite got the horsepower, but it's good to have a race. You know, like it's fair racing. Simon spun it out, you know, and then he caught us back up. So yeah, it's all good. That's what it's all about, really. Yeah.
Tim, always great to see new faces on the BTRA grid. Now, I didn't see you at round one, so tell us the story.
Well, it started off that we were going to build the truck to do round one. The truck was ready and prepared and ready to go. We took it out onto the circuit and then found out after we took it out onto the circuit that we had the wrong diff, which caused engine problems, which meant then that we didn't race it that weekend. Tony's agreed to lend me the truck and race in his name, so that's what we're doing now.
So, part of the sort of Tony Smith team in a way, is he sort of mentoring you, telling you all the tips and tricks?
He's trying to, yeah.
He was quite successful last year.
Tony is a very good driver, yes, Tony's a very good driver. He's rebuilding his Sisu now. I've got his old engine and gearbox in this truck. He's having a new engine in his Sisu for this year. Hopefully he's coming out in Nürburgring. And we're going to race together then and do it as a bit of a team effort.
Luke Taylor at the front of the grid there, you can see, with Matt Summerfield alongside David Jenkins and Jamie Anderson on row 2, followed by Stuart Oliver and Ryan Smith. In Division 2, Craig Reed on this restart on pole, with Brad Smith alongside them, Luke Garrett and Simon Cole, John Bowler and Tim Woolley completing the third row for the Division 2s. Massive grid with so many trucks about to be unleashed here in tricky conditions. Around the outside goes Matt Summerfield into the lead with Jamie Anderson challenging Luke Taylor. David Jenkins inside of Ryan Smith. A little bit of side-by-side nudging and scraping going on between those two. Luke Taylor's got a problem. Goes ploughing. It's Luke Taylor. He started off the front. Here, starting in Division 2 though, is Craig Reed, with Luke Garrett in second in 42. The 16 truck of Brad Smith on the outside line again. Then we've got Simon Cole. John Bowler in the 14 in the mix as well, but it's Craig Reed leading in the trucks in Division 2. Looking anything but a novice the way he's leading from the championship leader. Superb stuff from him. Then Brad Smith in third place, a little bit wide there for John Bowler. I think he's going to lose out. And down on the inside goes John Powell, who's talking about a lack of power. That to some degree in the wet conditions will be negated. But what a difference from race 1 to this race 2 of 5 that are scheduled this weekend. I have to say scheduled because if you get a truck off and impacts the barrier, it can involve a lengthy delay while they make the track safe, and that's the paramount thing, of course. Here are the Division 2s, and it's still Craig Reed in front. Disappears out of shot onto Speedway Straight. Chasing hard there is Simon Cole again. Championship-wise, only one change after in the major championship positions after the first race of the weekend. That was John Powell moving up to 4th in the championship from 5th in the table. Top 5 in Division 1 all stayed the same. David Jenkins looks to put the pressure on and pass Jamie Anderson, making up for what happened in race number 1 when Anderson passed him and Stuart Oliver saw the gap as well. And the GT Kelsa truck goes through but loses out because Anderson is fighting back. Anderson learning his craft here in truck racing, and immediately behind as well, great to see Martin Gibson in the second GT truck. And we go on board with Martin now. Again, a driver learning his way. This is only his second meeting in the trucks after debuting at Brands Hatch. So we've got new blood coming into Division 2, new blood coming into Division 1 as well. The appeal of the British Truck Racing Championship, too much for those drivers to dismiss, and they're making a world of difference to the entries. Matt Summerfield leading from Ryan Smith. They've gone through. Third place is David Jenkins. 4th, Jamie Anderson. 5th in truck number 7 is Stuart Oliver. It's difficult to race these conditions. It's difficult to see in these conditions as well. Simon Reed is next up. He's in the 89 truck. Then Rick Collett, he finds himself down behind him as well. Luke Taylor is still running in his MAN after the ploughing match earlier on. So the full field still contesting this second race of the weekend. Simon Cole now runs ahead of Brad Smith. You can see how difficult it's difficult for the cameramen as well that are here and the hardy spectators. And we've had 2 wet truck meetings on the bounce now, with Brands being tricky for everybody, and now day 2 have a meeting here at Pembrey. We've got another meeting later on in the year. I implore you to come along and watch. And there is Steve Powell in truck number 3, who looks like he's having a few issues. Steve was started this one off the penultimate row of the grid, and problems here as Gibson heads towards the Onco but keeps it out. Fair play, Martin Gibson. I'm sure his control was part of the reason that he stayed out of the barrier, but it was perhaps a little bit of contact there as Matt Summerfield still leads this one with Ryan Smith hunting him down. Smith's got the fastest lap of the race on lap 2. So 1 minute 14.026 for Ryan Smith, but it's Summerfield. These two, of course, running in HRVS team colours at Brands Hatch, and now Ryan's got his own livery on the truck, the PT Hire Taylor's backs machine, trying to close down on the man who was champion immediately before him. These two battling for the Division 2 lead. Craig Reed still there from Luke Garrett. This is no mean feat here from Craig Reed, who is soaking up pressure from Luke Garrett, the championship leader. Through Honda again, and no, Matt Summerfield gets a wheel on the grass and spins it around. Summerfield spins away the lead, and Ryan Smith is gifted the lead here at Pembrey. Summerfield desperately trying to get back on track and recover as Craig Reed still leads Division 2. A second position potentially for Luke Garrett means that his championship lead will very much be intact. Through the mist we look at Stuart Oliver trying to get past Jamie Anderson. This is for third position. Oliver piling the pressure on. You can see David Jenkins now up ahead of them. The battle for Division 2 continues. This is a super drive here by Craig Reed. It's his second start in the British Truck Racing Championship. He was off the front, I'll give you that. He was off the front row of the grid but he's held on. He's driven in exemplary fashion so far, and he's leading this one, but Luke Garrett's having a look down the inside, so that was even more pressure for Craig Reed to have to soak up. Reed's still there, through Honda corner again. Luke Garrett doesn't want a DNF, so he's not going to make a stupid move and try and risk everything to gain the win for sure. He looks to have the slightly quicker truck, but he won't risk everything because he'll be thinking about championship points, so crucial. 15 points for a win, 14 for second. Matt Summerfield trying to recover and get ahead of Luke Taylor to take 7th position in class if he can. And Summerfield goes down the inside line. Luke's seen him. Fair racing route there, but always good to see passing in the truck championship. Ryan Smith on his way. This will be a 5th win on the bounce in this championship. That is not easy to do given the fact that if you win, you start off the back next time. But he is there. Stuart Oliver, he's now up into 3rd, but Jamie Anderson hasn't given up. Simon Reed is in the mix as well. The Reeds are giving us some real race entertainment here, with Simon in Division 1 and Craig Reed still leading in Division 2. This has been a super race. Very difficult conditions, but it's worth coming truck racing even if the weather isn't too good. Here's the battle for the lead in Div 2, about to start their last lap, going around Honda. Anderson coming under pressure from Simon Reed, this for 4th place. Oliver is clear of them on the last podium step at the moment in 3rd. Ryan Smith still the leader, still with the fastest lap as well. And here he comes, down towards Honda corner for the last time. It's a clear lead. It's 3 seconds again for Ryan Smith. Wet or dry, he delivers the goods. Smith takes the win. David Jenkins will be in 2nd place. 3rd will go to Stuart Oliver. We watch and wait for Stuart. Through goes Steve Powell in yellow. Steve running in 8th position in Division 2. Now, are we going to see a maiden win in his first meeting here in Division 2? This is a big story. Craig Reed leads around Honda turn and he's going to take the checkered flag. Craig Reed wins Division 2 on his debut meeting. Sensational. Here's the result. Ryan Smith from David Jenkins and Stuart Oliver. Jamie Anderson next from Simon Reed, Ricky Collett, Matt Summerfield, Luke Taylor. Craig Reed wins Division 2. Superb racing from him.
Right, another one in the can there. This is getting quite familiar, and even the conditions changing didn't hold you back.
No, it was on dry setup, and I think everybody else had already took the gamble to go on wet setup. So, yeah, it worked quite well for us, really. The truck had the pace. We seem to have the pace. The team's done a good job. We did take the gamble and go on the Goodyears, really, and we know they're not as fast as the GT radials, but we still had enough to win the race.
Craig, 2nd race ever, and first in place there on Class 2.
Yeah, couldn't believe it. Really good. The race got red flagged, and I thought it's over now. So I knew from then, if I knew I could get out of the first corner, I could make it happen, sort of thing. But no, brilliant. The truck, I thought that the truck was good in the dry yesterday, where I got my 5th place, but in the wet, it just come alive, and it made, a lot of the other trucks are really struggling, and I just could feed the power in a lot better, and it thoroughly enjoyed it. I was waiting for the last lap, I must be honest.
Luke, fantastic race there. Now let's just rewind back slightly with the Brands Hatch. 3 first place there. First race here today, you've done a 1st place as well, so that's 4 firsts, which is a major achievement, and a 2nd place as well. You must be chuffed.
Yeah, I am really chuffed. We've last year, obviously, we had quite a difficult year, and all the boys worked really hard last year to get it right for this year. So at the moment, it's paying off, and it was absolutely brilliant to race with Craig, and we had a real good race, really.
The team and the sponsors behind you. Just tell us who's put you here.
Well, to start off with, it was my dad just put us here to start off with. But no, we've accumulated quite a few sponsors. We've got K&S and Frumalto and Transolver and Wessex Truck Show. They've all been very supportive with me, and they're very, they do a lot of social media stuff with us as well. So they're really chuffed.
Luke Garrett broke the 100-point barrier in that previous race, still leading Division 2. Division 1, though, heading the trucks out for this race with Martin Gibson on pole position, Luke Taylor alongside, Matt Summerfield and Rick Collett row 2, then Jamie Anderson and Stuart Oliver. Division 2 in this race headed by Steve Powell and John Bowler, then John Powell and Brad Smith, Simon Cole and Luke Garrett heading the top 6. We are truck racing here again at Pembrey. Diving from row 2 down to the inside is Stuart Oliver behind his teammate Martin Gibson, but it's Luke Taylor in 79 that leads them down into the hairpin. Rick Collett on the outside in yellow. Dive down the inside from David Jenkins. A little bit tail happy there is Ryan Smith. Luke Taylor not looking too happy. Across the grass goes Stuart Oliver. Now, was there contact there with his teammate number 11? There was a clatter from Matt Summerfield. Rick Collett goes on the grass, spins in avoiding Martin Gibson. And Matt Summerfield definitely hit him. The Division 2s are underway. So much going on here. Big sideways moment, fishtail there from Luke Garrett, but it's Steve Powell out front. Then his brother John Powell in second place. The race leader, though, is now, after they all sort themselves out, is 69. David Jenkins out front. There is Jamie Anderson. Anderson scoring well on the points, 4th in the standings at the moment. Could go 3rd here at the expense of Matt Summerfield, but this is the group fighting for the lead in Division 1. David Jenkins, Ryan Smith looking to make it another successive win here. I'd have to check what the record is for successive wins. I think whilst we've been having reverse grid races, what we've seen from Ryan Smith the last 2 rounds has been pretty much unprecedented, but I'll check with Jonathan Reeves on that. He'll be able to tell us, the PR man for the British Truck Racing Championship. And a change for the lead. Jenkins goes wide at the hairpin, and through goes Ryan Smith. Smith leads again to his, if it is a record-breaking run, it's going to be even more so. Smith the leader, the PT hire, Taylor's UK International truck, heading the Digraph MV commercial truck of David Jenkins. 4-way scrap for second place in Division 2. Steve Powell is at the head. John Powell second, John Bowler is third, Luke Garrett in 4th place, then Brad Smith. Steve Powell showing them a clean pair of heels at the moment. He's got a good gap ahead of his brother. 16 is Brad Smith. Second in the championship, Brad Smith. Been very consistent, great to see him on the podium. Tail out there from Simon Reed as we head back with the Division 1 trucks. And Reed is all over the back of David Jenkins. He's challenging hard. He's going to have a look down the inside. They're coming up to Honda. Just watch the back end of Reed's truck, wanting to snap away, but he kept it under control very well indeed. That was a super rear-facing shot there from David Jenkins. And now Reed's going to see if he can have a run up the inside, challenging for second place. Are they side by side? No, they're not. The Morris Lubricants Digraph MV truck retains second position. David Jenkins still second. Ryan Smith still the leader, heading for another 15 points here. Jenkins on for 14 at present, but a long way to go. Simon Reed is in 3rd. We look back for the 4th place truck. That's Jamie Anderson. Good old scrap going on still in Division 2. Outside line here from John Bowler, the Stockport man. He's coming under pressure now from Luke Garrett. Fine race between Luke Garrett and Craig Reed in the previous Division 2 encounter. Absolutely superb to see. And Steve Powell, I tell you what, Steve Powell has not got this his own way at all. Ryan Smith looking comfortable out front. Jenkins again subject to this pressure by Simon Reed. Simon looks inside, then chooses the outside line, and neither of them are weaving. They're just picking their line, getting on with the race, which is superb. Along Speedway straight in towards Honda once again. Here's the look back. You've got to say Reed was didn't seem to be as tail happy that time as they go through Honda. Here those the Division 2 battle, and Garrett looks one way then the other, trying to get around the outside line on John Bowler. Brad Smith still there immediately behind those guys. This is the run down into Honda, the last corner on the lap, and it's still the Powells out front. Steve leading from John. Fine fair fight here for second place. Really clean stuff. And Simon Reed, a real game of cat and mouse here with David Jenkins. We're not seeing passing, but we are seeing absolute harrying by Reed, as slicing down the outside into second place. Super move by Luke Garrett, who goes up into second place, but he's on the grass. Garrett's on the grass. Back end comes around, rejoins the track. Through on the inside line goes Brad Smith, so Garrett loses out big time there. It was a brave move down the outside. He tried to slingshot everybody down the main straight, but it's Steve Powell now being put under big pressure by his brother John. The Pals really having a ding-dong scrap here. Jamie Anderson fourth, we're looking at second and third immediately ahead of him, and David Jenkins still having to deal with Simon Reed. And off! That's Brad Smith, red flag, race over, it's going to be red and checker as they come across the line. Ryan Smith gets the red flag, that will be a declared result. A short race. Ryan Smith the winner from David Jenkins and Simon Reed. Jamie Anderson fourth from Luke Taylor. Steve Powell wins Division 2 from John Powell, then John Bowler. Luke Garrett next up from Simon Cole.
Fantastic race you just had. Pity about that red flag, but you were catching brother Steve as well.
Yeah. I mean, as I come around the hairpin at the second to last lap, sort of got really close to him, going round the back there. And I think, this lap I'm going to have him. And then obviously, lucky enough, he see the red flag before I did and backed out of it. And I just managed to go around the outside. But I thought I got him, but I hadn't. It had been red flags. It was a bit disappointing, really. So, it's nice to race. There's a good bit of competition between me and my brother.
Luke, round 2 of the 2018 campaign, and going fairly well so far.
Yeah, we've got a really good pace. Found a good couple of setups, but we've still got teething problems with the trucks. You know, 1 minute you learn something and something else goes wrong.
What's your ultimate aim for this season?
Just try and finish every race and pull my lap times down a lot, which I'm quite happy with my lap times at the moment. Like the top 8, we're all very, very close on lap times, within a second, you know, of each other from 1st to 8th. So I'm quite impressed the way I'm going at the moment.
Simon Reed is the man on pole position for Division 1. Ricky Collett alongside. Row 2, Luke Taylor and Jamie Anderson. Matt Summerfield with Ryan Smith on row 3. Division 2 headed by Simon Cole and Craig Reed. Then Adam Bint and Steve Powell. John Powell and John Bowler on the 3rd row for Division 2. A mammoth grid, and the Thunder Brigade about to be unleashed here on Pembrey circuit for the last time for round 2 of the championship. Away we go. Good rear-facing view from David Jenkins, who won race 4 of the meeting. But look at Jamie Anderson, who slices his way through, and it's very, very wide. Anderson loses out. Simon Reed is the leader. Anderson coming under pressure from Rick Collett as the Division 2 boys get underway as well. Ryan Smith already up into 3rd, but it's Simon Reed in front. Jamie Anderson, Ryan Smith, they're followed by Matt Summerfield, then David Jenkins, who switches to the inside line. Same corner where we saw him execute the pass on Ryan Smith in race number 1 here. Steve Powell working hard as ever in Division 2, and the 4th Division 2 race was won by Luke Garrett. And I say only, in inverted commas, Luke's 2nd win of the meeting. And there is Garrett putting in some work from John Powell, who's had a super meeting. John Powell has been gathering points like they've been going out of fashion and has got into 4th place in the championship now. He's still 7 points behind Brad Smith, despite Brad not scoring in race 3. Brad did get a 14 points haul rather, in race 4. Battle for 2nd place on though. Simon Cole still there. Ryan Smith goes for the sweep round the outside, sells a dummy to Jamie Anderson. Classic piece of motor racing there. It's not just truck racing, that was classic motor racing there by Ryan Smith to take 2nd position. Craig Reed having a good run, still up ahead of Luke Garrett. One gets the impression that if Reed can maintain a healthy finishing rate, he might be challenging Luke Garrett for honours at the end of the year. He's certainly going to be at the sharp end of the championship things, as off goes Rick Collett. Collett's the first casualty of the final race of the weekend. Down the inside goes the 68 truck of Craig Reed, making progress. Meanwhile, Simon Reed is going to lose the lead here, and down the inside, taking no prisoners, is Ryan Smith, who goes through and into the lead again. David Jenkins broke his winning run in the previous race, but Ryan Smith wants to go out with 4 wins here to add to the 3 that he took at Brands Hatch. Side by side in Division 2. John Bowler with Luke Garrett. Garrett trying to hang on the outside line there. This is spectacular stuff from Garrett, and the reward for hanging on is the inside line for the next corner. Look at Garrett now coming through. Great piece of driving from him, respectful and clean from Bowler as well. And we got John Powell in the mix for good measure as well in truck number 6. The last couple of laps we've seen some classic motor racing. To do it in a race car is difficult, to do it in a race truck even more so. Superb stuff from those guys. We saw the windscreen being replaced on Summerfield's truck, so he's got a very unusual looking, not having the visor on it. It looks very unusual, but it looks new, it looks shiny and clean, and he's trying to get points here. Is Matt Summerfield down to 4th position in the table now. Stuart Oliver is 5th in the table as Jenkins goes through on the inside line. Jenks 2nd in the table. He's on 109 points now. Ryan Smith on 130 is going to extend that even more. Those two, the only 2 drivers to break the 100-point barrier so far this season in Division 2. We've got in Division 1, we've got 3 of them having done so in Division 2, which you could argue is even more competitive. Wherever you look, there's interest at either level of this championship. Steve Powell, though, having a good run here, up ahead of Craig Reed. This is going to be interesting, isn't it? Because these two, this could be how the battles shape up over the rest of the season between those two. John Bowler in 14 in the mix as well, and the race leader starting to get into traffic, passes Brad Smith in the 16, does that safely. Here comes John Bowler again, who sees the race leader coming through, drifts wide, allows him to go through, and John Powell making a little bit of hay there as well. John Powell trying to come through and looking for another podium this weekend. Seen John Powell pick up many race wins before at Pembrey. Really knows how to negotiate this circuit. Here comes Steve Powell still at the head of things. Luke Garrett is in 3rd place. Craig Reed in the middle here in 2nd place. The 68 truck, is he going to be able to grab another Division 2 podium here? Comes into the hairpin, brakes hard, just trying to get the measure of Steve Powell in the HGV Direct Dines backed truck that's out front. Immaculate looking machine, easy to pick out with that yellow livery. Stuart Oliver, 5th in the championship, needs to make up points now. You really get hit in this championship this year in particular if you have a non-finish. A win is 15 points and the points drop by 1 point per place after that. So if you have a non-finish, someone like Stuart Oliver, a non-finish, that's 15 points drop potentially. I suppose the way it averages out, probably you're losing out, driver of his calibre losing about 12, maybe 13 points on average for every non-finish. But here is David Jenkins in the 69, who's got 1 non-finish under his belt this year. That was at Brands Hatch in the penultimate race, and he's been very consistent this weekend. Jenkins with 4th, 2 seconds, a win in the previous race. Stuart Oliver with a non-finish and a non-start in race number 4. He's trying to make up places here. Meanwhile, Division 2, the battle is on. Steve Powell still out front. Now Garrett's got the run on the inside line here, and he's going to go through on the inside line of Craig Reed to take 2nd position in class, which he does. Superb stuff. David Jenkins still fighting hard, so Jenkins now, look how busy the track gets. John Powell is there, Jamie Anderson looking to come through. Jamie Anderson being followed by Stuart Oliver, then David Jenkins, John Bowler on the outside line. The Division 2 trucks trying to have their race, but the Division 1 boys, because of the fact that the Div 1 boys start ahead, and there's always some debate about whether the Division 2 truck should start ahead of the Division 1s or the other way round. Either way, you're going to get traffic. I think really the way the organisers have got it at the moment is probably about right, because it means that the Division 2 trucks, by and large, if they are caught, as we've seen here, the places are largely sorted out. So the Division 1 runners will happen across battles, but in theory, and hopefully, won't interfere with them. There is Simon Reed in the 89 truck, still running well. It's such a busy track. Luke Taylor online for a decent finish here as Ryan Smith picks up the last lap board. It is still Steve Powell here, and now versus Luke Garrett. Luke would love to take another win in this one, but it's Powell out front. Still there as well is Craig Reed in the 68. Reed about to be passed by Ryan Smith and gets tagged by Smith. Is that going to lose Ryan Smith the lead? Has he damaged his truck? High drama on the last lap here of the last race of the weekend at Pembrey. We switch shots, but I'm keen to know whether Ryan Smith is still going, and that has really annexed a potential podium for Craig Reed for sure. Luke Taylor's running in 7th position in class. Great shots from Luke. Through goes John Bowler, and there parked up is Craig Reed. There is David Jenkins running in 4th place. But Ryan Smith is still running on his way to the flag. Stuart Oliver in 3rd ahead of David Jenkins. And then immediately ahead of him, Jamie Anderson in 2nd place. They haven't caught Ryan Smith. Ryan's managed to carry on clear. And here's the checker. Ryan Smith wins despite the contact with Craig Reed. Smith the winner. Jamie Anderson's going to take 2nd. He runs a little bit wide. Stuart Oliver will complete the Division 1 and overall podium. Jenkins 4th. Simon Reed in 5th place. Here come the Division 2 runners. It's going to be 2 wins this weekend for Steve Powell, unless a late charge from Luke Garrett dislodges him. I don't think that's going to be the case. He's having a go, but it's Steve Powell that takes the win from Garrett. John Powell in 3rd once again. Confirmation of that result for you. Ryan Smith from Jamie Anderson and Stuart Oliver. The podium in Division 1, the Division 2 podium, Steve Powell from Luke Garrett and John Powell. Fastest laps, David Jenkins and Luke Garrett.
Jamie, great weekend. 2 podiums, that can't be bad.
Yeah, definitely. You know, first year in the sport, first year being in a truck for more than 2 rounds, I suppose. So yeah, really happy with the 2 podiums this weekend. I think the weather's played in our favour a bit. We haven't had much testing in the wet, so we struggled this morning a tiny bit, but then it's all paid off this afternoon. Consistency is always key, I suppose, and we can't thank all the sponsors enough. PT Hire for giving us a new truck to bring the trailer around and everything, so it's been really good.
Stuart, fantastic result overall for the weekend. Got some good podiums there. That last race, I wasn't seeing you at the front end as much as normal. Were we having some axle problems or something, I hear?
Rather. The 2 races before, I had it coming together on the opening lap and snapped the axle clean in half. Wow. So, you know, that the hub, everything bent the half shaft and, you know, everything came apart. So, you know, I had a lot of work to do. You know, a lot of work to do. Got it all lined up, got it all welded up and put together and built up for the last race. So, because missing the races before, I had to start from the back, so I managed to sort of get myself up. But it wasn't just 100%, but it, you know, sort of you've got to put safety first, so not just take it to the max. But I was nearly there. I was 99.9% of the max, and but you know, it's important to get some points back from having to, you know, because I missed some races. So happy with that.
Steve, good weekend overall. 2 first places.
Yeah, no, we had a good weekend. We had a bit of a problem Friday night taking it off the trailer. Ripped a 3-inch hole in the sump, so we missed all Saturday. Had to send a lad home to get it repaired. So, but then to come out this morning, still had a few hiccups in the warm-up, got them resolved, and it's just got better and better. So that was a good race. We had a win this morning, but it was only 4 laps and a red flag. So, but a result's a result. But that one was good. Good for the team, good for the morale, good for the sponsors. So over the moon really. So it does put us a nice end to a weekend really.
Truck ran well in that final because you had the pace there. I mean, Luke was trying his best to catch you.
Yeah, we've got the pace. Like I say, we've recabbed it in winter, so obviously we've had a lot of issues because it's been rewired and everything, and that's come from brands into this now. But we know we've got the power, and no, look, I mean, Luke's is quick. Luke's is very quick, but you can see him in the distance. You do a bit of blocking, and yeah, it is what it is, sort of things. It's good. It's competitive out there, so I know there's a load of stuff going on about who's quicker and wrong engines and stuff like that, but it just proves that other people can do it, and we'll just see what happens moving forward, really.
A frenetic weekend here at Pembrey results in Ryan Smith extending his championship lead over David Jenkins. Jamie Anderson up into 3rd, Matt Summerfield 4th now ahead of Stuart Oliver, and Simon Reed in 6th. In Division 2, it's Luke Garrett ahead of Brad Smith, John Powell now up into 3rd place, then Simon Cole, John Bowler and Steve Powell in 6th. That's it from Pembrey. Thanks very much for watching, and we look forward to catching up with you again later in the season at Thruxton.